Good evening, everyone. Today is July the 11th, 2019. You are listening to the Digipire podcast. Today is episode 14, and we are discussing your e-commerce business, where to find products to sell, where to find places to sell it on, channels to sell your product on, and all of the juicy details of how to get up and running on setting up and selling online. And if you will bear with me while I gather my notes, I will be with you in just a few short seconds. You are listening to the Digipire podcast. You can find all of our podcasts at our website, digipire.com/podcast, or on your favorite podcast app. You can download Spreaker from your mobile phone, and you can easily find us there. And we are also on Google Podcast if you download your podcast from that platform. If there are any other platforms that you use that we are not on, you can contact us and we will try to accommodate you. But as always, you can download them directly from our website, digipire.com/podcast. I'll be with you in just a few seconds. Okay, July the 11th, we're right smack dab in the dog days of summer. Not my favorite time of year. I don't like the oppressive heat. Of course, unless I'm at the ocean or a large body of water with the wind blowing, and then it's not so bad, but I'm just not a hot weather person. But anyway, today we're going to talk about where to find products to sell for your e-commerce shop. We're going to discuss where you can sell them, places like Shopify, Amazon, eBay, and we're going to touch on setting up your own website via Shopify and maybe use some building your own using WordPress and some of the plugins, but we're not going to go into that as much as focusing on where to find products and where to sell them. You have a lot of options when selling online. You can sell digital products, which are the best way to sell. You can drop ship, and so you don't have to worry about all the ins and outs of physically dealing with product. That can be very expensive and time consuming from a cost accounting perspective when you have to handle the product and process it and all that kind of thing. So with that in mind, I'm trying to focus on the dropshipping model and not handling physical products, even though I will touch on that if that's something that you want to do. It's a good way to get started if you have the time and the extra room in your home or wherever. And it's probably the safest way to get started if you have physical product, if you can find a good deal on stuff that you can resell on eBay or Amazon or Mercari or Facebook Marketplace or whatever. There are an abundance of ways to start your little e-commerce side hustle. And you will want to choose the one that fits your lifestyle and your set of skills that you already have, or a set of skills that you are willing to learn, or a set of skills that will complement whatever you're trying to do. So we don't have to make this difficult. It's not rocket science, but I'm going to discuss that. But before I start, I'm going to relay all the news that is news in e-commerce and technology. And I'm going to do that in just a second. Just let me gather my notes and I'll be right with you. Okay, now for all news that is news in e-commerce and technology. So apparently Ross Perot died the other day. There's a headline on CNBC.com. Ross Perot is best known for his presidential run, but he also sold 2 tech companies for billions. Some of you may remember, or some of you may have read in your history books, that Ross Perot was a presidential candidate in, I believe, 1992. He ran as an independent. God, that was a long time ago. But he ran as an independent, and according to this, was a successful technology entrepreneur. He died this past Tuesday at the age of 89. According to CNBC, he started his career in sales at IBM and later founded 2 tech companies that would be acquired in multi-billion-dollar deals. He founded his first company, Electronic Data Systems, in 1962. It primarily provided outsourced IT services for companies as well as consulting. It went public in 1968. When it was still public, its stock took a major hit in 1970, and Perot lost more than $450 million on paper, according to NASDAQ. But it ended well for Ross Perot. General Motors bought a controlling interest in 1984 for $2.5 billion, then bought out Perot completely 2 years later for more than $700 million. He was Auto Giant's largest individual shareholder at the time. At the time, Perot called a plan from GM and General Motors to close plants and lay off workers morally wrong, according to the Associated Press. Protecting industrial jobs had become a major theme of his political career. So, after EDS, Perot founded Perot Systems, an information technology company, in 1988. The company went public in 1999 at the height of the 1990s tech boom. Dell bought Perot Systems in 2009 for $3.9 billion. I had no idea about the latter. Very interesting. Just goes to show you that you just never know what's going on out there. I haven't really heard, like so many others, I guess, about Ross Perot since the early 90s when I was in school then. And of course, I knew what was going on in the presidential race. That was Clinton ended up winning. But anyway, that's Ross Perot. He was a little technology magnate, and he just died at 89. So sad. You are listening to the Digital Pyre podcast. We stream live every Thursday at 8 p.m. You can find all of our podcasts at digitalpire.com/podcast. I do apologize. I'm going to have to take a short break. I will be with you in just a few moments. Be right back. Okay, I apologize for that little disruption. Now I'm going to get back to the news. This comes from entrepreneur.com, and the headline is 4 quick Pinterest ad hacks to boost your e-commerce. This could actually be a blog post or a YouTube video. You know, Pinterest isn't effective, but it's often underutilized advertising platform. I tried a little bit of Pinterest marketing a while back ago. It's probably been 3 years ago now, and I still get traffic from it to a website that I'm actually not even selling anything on. But I need to go back and look at that and start doing that again. And this article had just reminded me to do just that. So, this is from entrepreneur.com. Once again, you can find it on their website. And the article is, every month more than 250 million people use Pinterest to find inspiration, discover and shop for products, and interact with brands. Since it was first conceived and launched nearly 10 years ago, the site has quickly risen to the top of the ranks and become one of the most popular social media sites in existence. You don't hear a lot of people talking about Pinterest, though, at least in my circles, but I do know that it does deliver a lot of traffic to a lot of people. Their first recommendation is to focus on your story, whether organic or paid. It needs to have one thing in common. Each is created with a storytelling in mind, while the visual you create and promote on Pinterest will undoubtedly determine how successful you are at getting viewers to engage and take the desired action. Here are a few tips that will help you ensure that your ad is telling a clear story. Pick your protagonist, position the enemy, make a promise. And then you want to focus on elements of storytelling when creating your ads will help you build trust and connect to your customers on a human level. So you want to delight with text as number 2. And then number 3, you want to experiment with ad formats. And they have several things underneath that: promoted pins, promoted video pins, promoted carousels, promoted app pins. And then number 4, don't forget about your landing page. Landing pages are very, very, very important, and you need to collect those email addresses so you don't have to depend on any one platform to get your message across. You can always send emails, and you can move between. There's a lot more independence when you can reach someone via their email rather than via Pinterest, Facebook, or just whatever social media site or website that you found them on. You have more control over what they see and who reads your message, and you're not under any one entity's control or power or influence or just whatever. I think it's a good idea to always collect email addresses. I think a lot of people will tell you that. It says keep the messaging and visuals the same, keep it simple, make the call to action clear, basic email stuff. And again, you can find those tips on entrepreneur.com. You can do a search for 4 quick Pinterest ad hacks to boost your e-commerce. Okay, this comes from Barron's.com, and it's discussing Shopify, and the headline is, Amazon isn't a monopoly yet. Just look at the stunning growth of Shopify. And Shopify is something that I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to touch on it tonight, as it's actually overtaking. It's going to overtake probably soon Amazon and eBay, as a matter of people flocking to their platform to open up shop, to open up their e-commerce shop. I mean, people are really flocking to Shopify, that platform. And if you remember from last week, the podcast from last week, Shopify I told you that Shopify announced that they were going to have something very similar to what Amazon offers, Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. So they're going to take, Shopify is going to have their own version of fulfilled by Amazon. It's going to be, fulfilled by Shopify. So you'll be able to send your product, send your whatever to their warehouses, and they take care of fulfillment and customer service and all that kind of stuff, which really, really makes it nice. And it really makes it nice that you don't have to put all of your eggs in one basket. I mean, that's one thing that I really, if it's at all possible, not that, to have your eggs in many different baskets. I think you've heard that, many of you have heard that all throughout your life. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I think it's true, especially in business. And this will give you another option besides having Amazon having to depend on Amazon as much. So that's something that I'm going to try, and you can follow my journey as I do that on my e-commerce project page at digipire.com. I give you a lot of details there that I don't think anyone else probably would. But yeah, so that's the headline. Amazon is a monopoly. Just look at the stunning growth of Shopify. In just a second. And so it reads, politicians and academics are pounding the table over worries that big tech has grown too dominant. They see Amazon.com as having all but won the internet game, squashing the competition, and leaving little hope for new entrants. Not so fast. It's often when companies look most unstoppable that they are at the risk of greatest disruption. Indeed, the e-commerce world is already pushing back on the Amazon monopoly narrative. Without using Amazon or eBay, small merchants are flourishing online thanks to the platform, services, and tools of the cloud-based software company Shopify. There's a huge opportunity. eMarketer forecasts that global online sales outside China will grow by 12% annually through 2022 from $1.4 trillion last year. The firm says e-commerce is still just 8% of the total global retail market, excluding China. So yeah, I mean, it's not too late for anyone to get their fair share of the e-commerce pie. And I think using Shopify and dropshipping, you can do that. and especially if you buy a product and can send it to their fulfillment centers. And one day we're going to do a comparison once we've experienced Shopify, their platform. I'm going to do a comparison of Shopify and Amazon. One thing that I'm not really quite sure yet, and I'll have to look into it, is I don't think that, Amazon has built-in traffic. People go to Amazon to shop, and they have third-party sellers that are there to supply the products. I'm not sure that Shopify, I'm not sure people actually go to Shopify to shop. I think you're responsible for getting your own traffic. So I think that's where the main difference lies, at least from my understanding right now. But that's something that I will have to find out for sure, for certain later. So yeah, that Shopify, that's something that we're gonna touch on tonight, using their platform as we discuss ways to find places to buy your inventory, whether you're going to drop ship, send it to a fulfillment center, outsource it, or whatever. We're going to discuss that, and it kind of goes in line with Shopify. It's the easiest way to build an e-commerce shop without having to know how to build a website and WordPress and plugins and all that kind of stuff. Shopify has really mainstreamed a lot of it. So before I get on to a commercial about Shopify, I'm going to go to the last piece of news, which is Shopify has cracked the code on succeeding in e-commerce. And this comes from Forbes.com, and you can do a search for that headline and read it there. I'm just going to summarize and paraphrase and hit the highlights. And it says that the gig economy is transforming the way people work, travel, and buy products. Some of the companies behind these trends are household names. Shopify is not one of those, but the tiny Canadian company is winning at e-commerce. Managers unveiled a slew of new products and services last Wednesday. Investors should take note. This company is onto something big. That assessment might seem laughable. Shares are up a staggering 130% this year. The market cap has climbed to $36.6 billion. In addition to making its founders billionaires, the dizzying ascent has created a cottage industry for bears. And it talks about Shopify, the product creators. It tells a little bit about that. It tells about the Lutke, a German immigrant, used his computer programming background to cobble together a storefront, according to a 2015 feature story in the Globe and Mail. 2 years later, in 2006, Lutke, Wennon, and Lake launched Shopify. It was no overnight success story. Shopify was born in the era of Amazon.com, of course. E-commerce was catching on, but many customers still didn't trust the internet, let alone a tiny Canadian business with little more than a website. The company caught a break in 2010 with a mobile application for iPhones. Product managers used the launch to promote a build-a-business competition. There was a cash prize and mentorship from Sir Richard Branson himself. We all know who that is, right? Virgin Atlantic and all that kind of stuff. So, it was marketing gold. Since then, Shopify has acquired 9 companies, according to Crunchbase. The process began with mobile app design studios. By 2013, the company was building a payment platform. It even had software that turned an iPad into a point-of-sale terminal for brick-and-mortar retailers. The company announced in 2014 that 100,000 retailers from 150 countries had set up shop. So that's a lot. And I actually talked a few episodes ago, and you can find it on our website, digipire.com, about a website that you can pull up. You can pull up almost all of the people that use Shopify as a selling platform and do a lot of research on that. So if you want to find out more about that, you can search for it on digipire.com. I go into a lot in detail about how to use that research tool. But yeah, that is Shopify. And while both Shopify and Amazon compete for third-party retailers, the actual relationship is more friendly. Amazon web stores began in 2010 as a way for product sellers to access the scale of Amazon distribution in exchange for a monthly fee of $78 and about 3% of sales. The online giant closed that business to new sellers in 2015, fueling the rise of Shopify. I actually used that. I sold on Amazon through Amazon FBA, still do. And I tried that, and I just could not warrant the price of $78 a month. It was just way too expensive, and you're responsible for your own. It's just I can talk about that for another hour, but it was just way too expensive. So that is all news. That is news in e-commerce. We are going to get started on the meat and potatoes of the show in just a few moments. I'm going to gather my notes, and I will be with you in just a short while. Okay, now it's time for the questions and answers segment of the podcast. I answer questions that some of you have asked me from the episode before, and that was episode 13, and I was discussing some of the tools that I use as an internet marketer for many of my projects. And one of my projects, of course, is making this podcast. And I make the podcast, I use it as a way to get information. It forces me to create information that I can use for SEO, and I can refer back to it on my email campaigns and drive traffic that way. So I was asked, what do I use to produce the podcast? And I primarily use Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. It's an Android app, and I believe they have it for iPhone, but it's also a Windows program, so you can do it from your home computer, your laptop, or anywhere that you have an internet connection. What's good about the app is I can, if I'm out, as long as I have internet connection, I can run the podcast from wherever I may be, like if I'm on the beach or I'm on just in the mountains or just wherever. As long as I have an internet connection, I can talk to you guys and give you all of this information that I have in my head, sharing it with all of you. But yeah, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. It's free for a number of hours. I'm not sure. You can have so many hours on the platform for free, and then after that they charge, but it's not a significant amount. And you also can, if you have a real big following or an audience, you can also place advertisements on your podcast. So yeah, Spreaker's pretty neat, and that's what I use. And sometimes there's other tools that I use that I plan on using that I haven't yet. They have a lot of resources on their website if you want to get fancy and have someone announce your podcast, announcements kind of things, or little jingles or whatever they call it. So yeah, you can check it out at Spreaker.com, and yeah, so it's pretty neat. Another question I had was about Airtable. I use Airtable pretty extensively. I use it for, I'm as you know from the last podcast, I use Airtable a lot. I use it for my projects. There's just so much that you can do with it. And so someone asked me, can you import a spreadsheet in Airtable and keep it updated if you use another app? And yes, you can. There's a way to do it if you pay for Airtable, if you're using blocks. But there also is a way to do it if you're using the free version by using Zapier.com and Zapier.com and using that to update. So I use Memento. To record information. It's an app for Android, and it updates my spreadsheets on Google Drive. And so sometimes I want that information to be uploaded into Airtable. And the reason I use Memento instead of Airtable, the Airtable app, is because a lot of times if I have a poor internet connection or I don't have an internet connection at all, Airtable won't come up. Since it's reliant on the internet connection to pull up information, it's not as practical sometimes. So I use Memento. It's faster, and I can send the information very quickly to a spreadsheet. So I take this, Airtable will import that spreadsheet automatically. But there's a little bit of a little bit of finagling that you have to do in order to do that, and that's beyond the scope of what I have time to talk about right now. But if you contact me personally, I will be happy to guide you to some resources that will help you do that. You don't have to have the paid version to make that happen using blocks. You can use them. You can also do the same thing as blocks, but if you use Zapier.com and Airtable in conjunction with each other, you can get the job done for free. So yeah, that's the only time I have. That's the only time I have for questions right now, because I'm not going to be able to get to the main part of the show, which is talking about places you can. God, I'm so sorry. I'm not thinking straight. Places to find inventory, and there are so many places you can find inventory and so many things that you need to know about it. I'm just not going to have time to go through everything, so I'm going to dedicate the rest of the time to discuss it. Just give me a few short seconds while I gather my notes, and I'll be with you momentarily. Okay, so now we're going to talk about finding suppliers for your online store. And I'm going to assume that you're using Shopify and not trying to venture out on your own by making your own website using WordPress and WordPress plugins and all that kind of thing. That is more of an advanced strategy. Shopify is a lot easier to use. They have a lot of plugins that you use. It's pretty much a plug and play type of a thing. And I actually prefer to use a dropshipping model where I don't have to store and ship items myself. And if I do order actual product, then I would want to send it to an outsourcer such as Amazon FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, and now Shopify has their own fulfillment network, but it is not open to everyone yet. So, the first one I want to talk about is Alibaba.com, or more specifically AliExpress.com. They're both from the same company, but AliExpress you can order one or two items, and on Alibaba.com you need to order in bulk. So typically Alibaba.com is not set up for a drop shipping kind of thing. You can drop ship using AliExpress, but there's a few things you need to look out for. When you find a product that you want to sell, you need to find those suppliers that ship from within the United States, if you're in the United States or wherever in the world you may be. If it ships from within that country, then you're going to have happier customers. If it's shipping directly from China, you might have an issue with that if your customers are waiting 2 or 3 weeks or sometimes a month or so for their product. You might have problems. I've read where some people don't, some people do. I think it just depends on what you're selling and your audience and all that kind of thing. But you can sort by, you can choose only those when you're sorting through through what they're offering. Like say you found some watches that you wanted to sell, you want to make sure that you only use those. You only choose the ones that ship from the United States. Make sure that particular product is shipped from the United States. Just because the seller does not mean that particular product that you're interested in is shipped from the United States. So I keep all of that in Airtable, Airtable.com. I talked about it in the last podcast, how I use that to stay organized on my projects. I wasn't specific on the e-commerce, but I plan on talking about that more in depth, how I use Airtable to keep track of my e-commerce stores and dropshipping shops and all that. But that's one way that you can stay organized and make sure that you're only selling those things from AliExpress that are shipped from the United States. Because, like I said, you're going to have a lot happier customers if you do that. And just make sure that you incorporate the price into it. It's usually pretty inexpensive. So yeah, AliExpress or Alibaba is an excellent way to start your e-commerce, to get inventory and product for your e-commerce site, your Shopify site, and that's actually one of my favorite. Okay, another site that I highly recommend, and it works in conjunction with Shopify.com, is Oberlo.com. And they will actually, it's a script or a plugin that you put on your Google Chrome, and it will allow you to import items from AliExpress, from AliExpress.com. So you go in and you choose a product that you want to sell. Say you found a bunch of watches or jewelry or just whatever, and you can add that to your Shopify store. You can add your markup, what you want to sell it for, and all that kind of stuff. So you're not doing a lot of copying and pasting. And the starter pack is free. It has a 500. It has the product limit. It has 500. It has a product limit of 500. It has unlimited monthly orders. So what this app will do is it will go in, and once you have a sale, it'll go in and automatically fulfill that order for you. I guess contact the person on AliExpress and buy it so they can ship it directly to them. They sync all your orders. You can do bulk orders. You have real-time tracking. And they allow you to add your AliExpress affiliate ID to earn a commission with every sale. So basically, AliExpress allows you to earn an affiliate commission off your own purchases, which is pretty neat. So using the Oberlo app, you can purchase from AliExpress, and you can get 1 to 3% back on those purchases. I mean, it adds up very, very quickly. So Oberlo is available in any country. You know, you can, if you're living in New Zealand or Australia and you want to sell in the United Kingdom or the United States, you can do that. And it's very easy to do that with Oberlo and Shopify, your dropshipping business, because then, you know, like I said, you do not have to purchase any inventory. Say, for example, I have a shop that I sell items in the United Kingdom, and of course I don't live there. I live in the United States, and the shop is specifically geared for those in the United Kingdom. So, but I actually don't use Oberlo and Shopify. I use WordPress and an app that I use with WooCommerce to do basically the same thing. But Shopify can be expensive if you have multiple stores, especially if you're just testing the waters or doing market testing. So I don't use it for everything. But it is good to use, especially if you don't know how to build a website or e-commerce website. It's really, really straightforward. So I highly recommend Oberlo.com. It's available in many different languages, and like I said, as long as you keep in mind the shipping time you want to choose suppliers on AliExpress.com that ship within the United States or wherever you may be. One thing that you won't get with selling on Shopify and using Oberlo to source products is you'll need to get your own traffic. You'll need to do your own marketing and get your own traffic and all that kind of thing. So whether you use Facebook or search engines or Google Shopping or just whatever, you will need to get your own traffic, and that's the problem a lot of people have, and that's where they get caught up. And I talk about that a lot on my website, digipire.com, and you can find some of my experiments and some of my results that I've used on marketing my e-commerce shops and all the different ways that you can do that. But Oberlo, used in conjunction with Shopify, they're really just a match made in heaven, especially for those that that don't have a lot of technological background and can't build a website and don't want to spend the time to learn how to build a website, it really makes it a lot easier. So check that out, and you can check out some of my marketing experiments. Like I said, you will be in charge of getting your own traffic, although they do have several tools to help you do that. But you can check out my website, digitbuyer.com, and check out my e-commerce projects for more information on that and kind of see what we have done with it. So if you don't want to worry about getting your own traffic and you want to take advantage of the traffic and the buyers that places like eBay and Amazon provide, there are other options. And that's where Doba.com comes in. You can use their service for anywhere from $29 to a month to $249 per month, and you can export the things that you find or want to sell directly to Amazon or directly to eBay. And the advantage of that over doing something on Shopify is that you have traffic built in, you have buyers already built in, so it's like opening up a shop in a mall. You already have people there ready to buy. Whereas if you opened up a store on some street somewhere, you pretty much have to get your own traffic. You have to get your own customers. You have to worry about getting people in the door yourself. Whereas if you had it in a mall, they're pretty much already there, and the marketing is pretty much done for you. I kind of have some personal, I do have some personal experience with that. I had a thrift shop, and I was in the path of two other thrift shops, actually a Goodwill and another thrift shop. And my place is very, very small, so I made a mistake in retrospect and moved it to somewhere else away from the two places that I was in the middle of, and moved it closer to the other side of town, closer to a grocery store actually. And my sales took a nosedive, and the rent was a lot more. So it's really all about location. Location. I'm sure you hear a lot about that in business in general, and it's no exception with e-commerce. When you open up your shop on Shopify, you're basically starting from scratch. You're going into a location that doesn't have any built traffic. You're moving away from the mall. You're not in the mall selling your wares. So you're responsible for getting customers in the door. When you are selling on eBay or dropshipping on eBay or Amazon, you have the customers already there. So you're setting up your shop in the mall, so to speak. And you use Doba.com to source product and have it drop shipped to those customers. And it's fully compliant with eBay and Amazon. I think actually Doba.com is an eBay company, if I'm not mistaken, or they used to be, or they bought them or something like that. So anyway, it's fully compliant with those two platforms. So that is something to look into. I think they offer a free 14-day trial, if I'm not mistaken. So it's something definitely that you want to check out if you want to have you don't have to worry about building a website or all that kind of thing, and you just want to sell exclusively on eBay or Amazon and selling drop shipped products. So yeah, check it out, Doba.com. Another good resource is sellwho.com, and it's basically a directory that you pay $67 a year for to have complete access to their directory of suppliers that are willing to drop ship. And again, with something like this, it is more a do-it-yourself kind of thing. You have to contact suppliers. That's just a lot of legwork involved in sellwho.com, and I wouldn't recommend it for people that are just kind of feeling around or whatever. But you can do a Google search for sellwho.com. I've actually used it before a long time ago. They're an old website that it's been around quite a long time, and they do have some good information. I have found a few good vendors or a few good suppliers for some of the things I used to sell that I don't sell anymore. But Yeah, but a lot of the stuff that they have you can find online yourself, especially just by researching other sellers. You can go to places like Mercari or even eBay or Amazon and find out and do kind of like a reverse image search and find out from what they're selling and where you can find that same product. Just kind of reverse engineer the whole thing. And also you can go to Facebook Marketplace and do a reverse image search there and find out what people are selling and where they bought it from and all that kind of thing. Again, kind of reverse engineering that. So you might want to try that before you invest $67 for the year. Just go to Facebook Marketplace, find out what's selling in your area, make a list in Airtable of the shop owners that you're interested in, and keep a list of the shop owner and their products and where you can find them. And you find those products by doing a reverse image search. And a lot of times you'll find out that they get them from AliExpress. But yeah, that would probably be more worth your time to do that. But still, Sohu is a good resource. Okay, another place that you can source product from is dhgate.com, and it's very similar to AliExpress. And I have noticed though that a lot of them do not ship from the United States. But if you don't care and you have the resources to buy in bulk, like 5 or 10 or 20 things of an item, then you might take a go of it. But it is a good resource. A good place that you can find cheap products from China at a good price for you to resell. And if you can't sell it online, maybe you can sell it, in your local Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist or something like that. The thing about when you buy like a physical product, you have some kind of something that you can sell. You can always liquidate it somehow, and a lot of times get your money back or lose, just a little bit of money. So that's another resource is dhgate.com, and it is very similar to AliExpress in the way it operates its site. And they are based in China, and the site is in English. And lastly, I'm going to go over one final thing, because I'm running out of time, because I only have 45 minutes allotted for this podcast, and I don't have much more time. So I'm only going to go over a couple more, and that is the print-on-demand services, something like Printify or Gearbubble. And so if you're selling T-shirts or tote bags or anything like that can be printed on demand, you can do something like that. You can set up a shop where you are drop shipping products that are printed on demand. So you can check that out, Printify.com and Gearbubble.com. Those are two places where you can sell T-shirts and things like that can be drop shipped. But that could be a whole nother discussion in and of itself, because you do things a little differently when you work with print on demand services. So yep, that's all there is to discuss for that for now, because I'm running out of time. If you have any questions for me about dropshipping in general or e-commerce, you can head on over to my website, our website at digipire.com, and there is a little ask a question button there, and you can just ask away. Okay, I hope you learned a little bit about Shopify and all of the options that you have, whether you're going to do it yourself by buying product and processing it out of your home office or warehouse or just wherever, or whether you are drop shipping or sending product to a outsourcer such as Amazon or Shopify if you're eligible. There are no shortage of ways to start your e-commerce business, kind of like a side hustle. You can start small and grow it to as big as you want to, pretty much. Hope you learned a little bit about where to find product, whatever angle you choose to take. And I hope that you join us next week same time, same place. We stream live every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Hope all of you stay cool out there wherever you may be in the world, and be sure to join us next week at 8 o'clock p.m. And as usual, you can find all of our podcasts at digipire.com/podcast. Bye-bye.